Truth about self-sabotage is that you probably don't keep getting in your own way because you don't want success. You keep getting in your own way because some part of you may believe that becoming the person who can actually have that success is dangerous. That's the part nobody talks about. You say you want the business, you say you want the opportunity, you say you want to finally change your life. But when it's time to make the call, post the video, launch the product, take the risk, stay consistent, or put yourself in a position where you could actually be seen, and suddenly you're tired. Suddenly you're distracted. Suddenly you need another week to prepare. Suddenly you're questioning whether this is even what you're supposed to be doing. That's self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is not always your mind trying to destroy your future. Sometimes it's your mind trying to protect your past. That's where shadow work comes in. Your shadow is basically the parts of yourself you've learned not to acknowledge. The fear, the anger, the ambition, the insecurity, the need to be seen, the desire to be successful, the part of you that wants more, the part of you that is terrified you're not enough. And when you don't become conscious of those parts, they don't disappear. They start making decisions for you from the background. And this is where I want to go deeper than most people go with self-sabotage. Because everybody wants to talk about procrastination. Everybody wants to talk about discipline. Everybody wants to tell you to wake up earlier, work harder, get more focused, and stop making excuses. And yes, sometimes you need more discipline. But what happens when you already know what to do? What happens when you've bought the courses? You've written the plan. You've watched the motivational videos. You know the strategy, and you're still not doing the thing. At some point, you have to stop asking, why am I so lazy? And start asking, what am I protecting myself from? Because every self-sabotaging behavior usually gives you something immediately. Procrastination gives you relief. If you don't start, I don't have to find out whether I'm good enough. Perfectionism gives you protection. If it's never finished, nobody can reject it. Quitting gives you certainty. If I leave first, I never have to experience a possibility of failing later. Staying invisible protects you from judgment. If nobody really sees what I'm capable of, nobody can criticize it either. Even inconsistency can have a hidden payoff, because if you never give your dream everything you've got, you can always tell yourself, well, I could have succeeded if I had really tried. And that story can hurt less than giving everything you have and discovering that success isn't guaranteed. That's the hidden bargain. You sacrifice the possibility of your future for emotional safety in the present. And here's where it gets even deeper. Sometimes your shadow isn't only holding your pain. Sometimes your shadow is holding your power. Maybe somewhere along the way, being confident made people uncomfortable. Maybe speaking up got you criticized. Maybe wanting more made you feel selfish. Maybe somebody told you that money changes people. Maybe people around you made fun of anybody who thought they were special. Maybe every time you try to stand out, you got pulled back down. So you learned something. Don't be too ambitious. Don't be too loud. Don't outshine. Don't take yourself too seriously. Don't believe you're better than anybody. Stay where everybody else is comfortable with you. And then 20 years later, you're trying to build a business, become successful, put yourself online, charge more money, lead people, take risks. But you're asking an identity that learned to stay small to suddenly become visible. That's why there can be so much internal resistance. Your conscious mind is saying, I want more. But another part of you is saying, if you become that person, what happens to us? Will people still like me? Will my friends think I've changed? What if my family doesn't understand me anymore? What if I succeed and now everybody expects more from me? What if I make money and lose it? What if everybody sees me and then watches me fail? What if I finally get everything I've been chasing and I still don't feel like enough? That is where self-sabotage gets much deeper than discipline, because now we're dealing with identity. I know this personally. There was a period of my life where I had information that could have helped me move forward, and I still wasn't moving. I had a course sitting there for months. I knew I needed to take action, kept avoiding it. And eventually I had to confront the deeper things underneath the avoidance: fear, beliefs, my own identity. The things I didn't want to look at. And doing that inner work mattered. But I also learned something else that I think is incredibly important. You can turn inner work into another hiding place. You can journal forever. You can meditate forever. You can analyze your childhood forever. You can spend another 5 years trying to understand every possible reason you're afraid. And eventually, you still have to make the call. You still have to post the video. You still have to start the business. You still have to take the risk being rejected. You still have to do the thing you're afraid to do because awareness is not transformation by itself. Awareness shows you the prison. Action proves the door is open. So here's something practical I want you to do. Think about one area where you keep sabotaging yourself. Not 10, one. Maybe you keep procrastinating. Maybe you disappear whenever momentum starts building. Maybe you keep starting businesses and abandoning them. Maybe you refuse to raise your prices. Maybe you're sitting on something you've wanted to launch for 6 months. Now ask yourself 4 questions. First, what am I doing? Be specific. I'm procrastinating is not specific enough. Maybe it's every time I'm about to publish something important, I suddenly start scrolling for 2 hours. Good. Now we can see the pattern. Second, what feeling am I avoiding by doing this? Fear, embarrassment, rejection, shame, failure, uncertainty, the possibility that somebody might judge you. Third, and this is the question I think most people miss, what does this behavior give me right now? Because if the behavior gave you nothing, you probably wouldn't keep repeating it. Maybe scrolling gives you relief. Maybe quitting gives you control. Maybe staying small gives you belonging. Maybe procrastinating protects your identity. Find the payoff, then ask the fourth question. What would I have to believe about myself to take the next step anyway? Maybe instead of if I fail, it proves I'm not good enough, the new belief becomes if I fail, I learn. Instead of people are going to judge me, what if you thought some people can judge me and I can still keep going? Instead of I'm not ready, maybe you can think I don't need to feel ready to take one courageous step. And then this is where the work actually becomes real. Take the step small enough that you can do it, big enough that the old version of you feels it. Send the email, upload the video, make the offer, take the chance. Tell somebody what you actually want. Say no, raise the price, start again. Because every time you take action without obeying the old pattern, you are giving yourself new evidence about who you are. And over time, that evidence becomes identity. Your goal isn't to destroy your shadow. Your goal isn't to hate the fearful part of yourself. Your goal is to understand it enough that it doesn't get to drive anymore. Because the part of you that is scared can come with you. It just can't hold the steering wheel. And maybe that's the real truth about self-sabotage. You're not fighting against success. You're fighting to preserve an old version of yourself that once helped you survive. But the version of you that protected you in the past may not be the version of you that can create your future. At some point, you have to thank that version of yourself and keep going without them leading the way. If this video helped you recognize a belief or pattern that's been keeping you stuck, I created a free audio training called Limitless to help you go deeper into the beliefs that are quietly shaping what you believe is possible for your life. Because sometimes the breakthrough isn't learning another strategy, it's finally changing the belief that's been stopping you from using the strategy you already know. You can download Limitless completely free using the link below. And remember, you don't have to wait until every fear disappears before you move. Sometimes the deepest healing happens when you finally show yourself, I'm afraid and I'm still going.